Guyana lacks information on potential deportations from the U.S. Vice President Barrett Jagdeo announced that Guyana has not received any information regarding the number of citizens likely to be deported from the United States for illegal residency. During a press conference, he emphasized that regardless of the number, Guyana will welcome its citizens back home. Jagdeo stated, "We have made it clear that whatever the number is, once they are Guyanese, we will welcome our people home." He noted that the U.S. government has not provided final numbers regarding deportations, but reaffirmed the country's commitment to accepting its citizens. The U.S. has intensified efforts to curb illegal migration through its immigration and border control agencies, searching communities for undocumented immigrants and initiating deportations. Reports have surfaced suggesting that Guyana might be considered for accepting third-country deportees as part of a broader immigration strategy. However, Jagdeo clarified that there is currently no agreement in place for Guyana to accept deportees from other countries. In terms of how many from third parties will come to Guyana, there is no agreement on anyone from third parties coming to Guyana, he stated. Last week, President Irfan Ali echoed these sentiments, stating that while discussions on migration have occurred with U.S. Secretary of State, there have been no conversations regarding the acceptance of deportees from other nations. Two Essequibo Coast men fined $100,000 each for DUI. Guyana Times. Two men from the Essequibo Coast have been fined $100,000 each for driving under the influence of alcohol following a court appearance on Wednesday. Jason Persaud, a 26-year-old businessman from Charity Housing Scheme, was charged after being found driving along the La Belle Alliance public road on February 7 with a breath alcohol level exceeding the legal limit. He pleaded guilty to the charge and was fined $100,000, with a 3-month prison sentence in default of payment. Ian Caravan, a 46-year-old taxi driver from Lot 10 Richmond, faced a similar charge for operating his vehicle on the Reliance public road on the same date. He also pleaded guilty and received a $100,000 fine, with the same prison alternative. In contrast, Kellum Benjamin, a 29-year-old laborer from Lima Sand, denied the DUI charge, which stemmed from an incident on January 25 along the Ana Regina access road. He was granted $50,000 bail, and his case has been adjourned to March 5. The court's actions reflect ongoing efforts to address and regulate driving under the influence to enhance road safety in the region. Laborer fined $100,000 for obscuring ID mark on vehicle. Guyana Times. Pradesh Persaud, a 26-year-old laborer from Lima Housing Scheme in Essequibo Coast, has been fined $100,000 after being found guilty of obscuring the identification mark on the rear of his motor vehicle. The ruling was made by Suddy Magistrate Tamika Clark during a court session on Wednesday. The charge against Persaud was brought under Section 13 of the Motor Vehicle and Road Traffic Act, Chapter 51:02, following an incident that occurred on January 24, 2025, along the Ana Regina access road. During the court proceedings, one witness provided testimony before the prosecution closed its case. After reviewing the evidence, Magistrate Clark ruled Persaud guilty of the offense. Should he fail to pay the fine, Persaud will face 2 months' imprisonment. This case highlights the importance of adhering to vehicle identification regulations to ensure road safety and accountability. Woman throws away purse instead of giving to bandits. Kaider News. A dramatic encounter unfolded on Hadfield Street when a woman refused to surrender her purse to 2 armed bandits, leading to a confrontation that involved gunfire. The woman, identified as 35-year-old Shabina Sobers, was approached by the bandits on a motorcycle as she walked along the street. When one of the assailants demanded her purse, Sobers bravely threw it over a nearby fence instead of handing it over. In a heroic act, 33-year-old Bonnie Moses, a self-identified Good Samaritan, intervened by attempting to run the bandits over with his car. As he approached, one of the bandits drew a gun and fired at Moses' vehicle. Fortunately, both Moses and Sobers escaped unharmed, although the car sustained several bullet holes in the process. Following the confrontation, police were called to the scene. Sobers was able to retrieve her purse, while the bandits fled on their motorcycle. Authorities are currently investigating the incident, seeking to identify and apprehend the suspects involved. Anil and UC clash over Maia fire compensation lawsuit. Big Smith News Watch. A legal dispute has erupted between Attorney General Anil Nandlal and attorney UC Anderson over a $900 million lawsuit filed against the state on behalf of Valerie Carter, who tragically lost her twin daughters in the 2023 Maia school dorm fire in Region 8. On February 20th, Anderson's law firm announced the lawsuit, challenging the initial government compensation of $5 million offered to the parents and next of kin of each child who perished in the fire. Carter has sought to have the court set aside the previous agreement she signed, which accepted the lower compensation. Following this announcement, Justice Niles granted a judgment allowing Carter to proceed with her application to set aside the initial agreement. However, Nandlal responded on February 21st, disputing several claims made by Anderson and asserting that his office had applied to strike out the case on the grounds that it lacked reasonable basis and constituted an abuse of the court process. Nandlal expressed surprise at Anderson's claims, particularly regarding a purported judgment granted to him on January 13, 2025, which he alleged was misleading. He argued that Anderson's press release gave the false impression that a judgment had been obtained against the state. In a rebuttal, Anderson alleged that the Attorney General had introduced a lawyer to Carter, claiming she had never met this lawyer nor paid for their services. He stated that on August 30, 2024, the Solicitor General, Shoshana Lal, had agreed that the state could grant the relief sought by Carter, but that Anderson refused to withdraw the initial action, as requested. Anderson further claimed that Justice Niles allowed him to withdraw the claim without prejudice to any future claims, including the new $900 million lawsuit, countering Nandlal's assertions. He offered to release court transcripts and voice recordings to clarify the situation. As both parties prepare for further legal proceedings, the case continues to draw attention, highlighting the ongoing quest for justice and adequate compensation for the families affected by the tragic fire. Over 8,000 meters of sea defenses to be built this year. The Guyanese government is set to construct approximately 8,000 meters of sea defense structures across the country, with an allocation of $8.2 billion in the 2025 budget. This initiative is part of a broader strategy to diversify agricultural infrastructure while focusing on climate-smart development. During the Guyana Energy Conference and Supply Chain Expo at the Marriott Hotel in Kingston, Georgetown, Minister of Public Works Bishop Juan Edgehill announced that over 110,000 meters of sea defenses are currently being maintained nationwide. He emphasized the importance of these structures in protecting agricultural lands from saline water. In recent years, about 23,900 meters of new sea defense structures have been constructed along the coast. The funding for this year will facilitate coastal defense projects in key areas such as Belladrum, Bengal, Den Amstel, Onderneming, and Zeelandia. To further enhance drainage and flood management, the government is also building over 200 kilometers of drainage canals in Regions 5, 6, and 2. In collaboration with the National Drainage and Irrigation Authority, the Ministry of Agriculture has installed 19 pump stations along the coast, complementing 40 mobile pumps that are ready for deployment to outlying areas. Minister Edgehill underscored the significance of these efforts in support of the PPP/C administration and CARICOM's food security agenda. He noted the goal of reducing the CARICOM import bill by 25% by 2025, highlighting the need to keep saline water off agricultural lands. Additionally, the minister discussed other infrastructural projects aimed at enhancing transport and logistics, including the potential establishment of a deep water harbor. Although a final decision has yet to be made, he indicated that the government is considering a railway system to facilitate the movement of containers from the proposed harbor to Lethem and northern Brazil. Edgehill emphasized that rail transport remains the most economical option for moving goods, which could significantly drive economic growth. Overall, these investments are designed to diversify the economy and improve connectivity across the region. Modern dental training clinic and lab opens at University of Guyana. Guyana Times. The University of Guyana has officially opened a new, state-of-the-art dental training clinic and laboratory aimed at enhancing dental education and providing free services to the public. The facility, which can accommodate 15 additional students, represents a significant expansion from the previous capacity of just 6 dentistry students. This initiative was made possible through the Greater Guyana Initiative, a $20 billion investment by ExxonMobil Guyana, Hess Guyana Exploration, and CNOOC Petroleum Guyana. This 10-year project is focused on capacity development across the country, emphasizing a commitment to Guyana's growth. During the ribbon-cutting ceremony, Vice Chancellor Professor Paloma Mohammed highlighted the benefits of the new facility, noting that it will not only train more dentists but also offer affordable dental services to the community. The clinic aims to attract specializations, including pediatric dentistry, supported by the University School of Orthodontics. Professor Mohammed announced plans to donate 3 additional dentistry chairs to other regions of Guyana, with 1 chair designated for the Burbus campus and 2 for other communities. This initiative aims to extend dental care access beyond the university. Zoe Pereira, director of the School of Dentistry, emphasized the importance of the new investment in producing well-trained dental professionals. She noted a significant increase in registered dentists in Guyana, from 33 in 2008 to 114 currently, underscoring the need for expanded facilities and clinical equipment. The lab is equipped with specialized rooms designed for patients with dental anxiety or traumatic past experiences. This dedicated space aims to provide comfort and reassurance, ensuring that all patients receive appropriate care regardless of their fears. Pereira expressed hope that these measures will help patients overcome their anxiety, encouraging them to seek dental treatment and integrate more fully into regular care. The opening of this modern facility marks a significant step forward in dental education and community health services in Guyana. Jagdeo questions silence on David Hines' attack on Afro-Guyanese. Dr. Barrett Jagdeo, General Secretary of the People's Progressive Party, PPP, has publicly condemned Working People's Alliance, WPA, co-leader David Hines for his recent derogatory remarks aimed at Afro-Guyanese during his Politics 101 broadcast. Hines characterized those Afro-Guyanese who choose to align with political parties outside his ideology as lick bottoms, house slaves, and sellouts, prompting a strong response from Jagdeo. In a press conference held at Freedom House in Georgetown, Jagdeo expressed his frustration over the lack of condemnation from various segments of society, particularly from leaders of the People's National Congress/Reform, PNC/R, such as Aubrey Norton, and the Alliance for Change, AFC, led by Nigel Hughes. He questioned, "Where is the conscience of society?" highlighting the silence from organizations like Transparency Institute Guyana Incorporated, TG, and Red Thread on Hines' inflammatory comments. Jagdeo refuted the narrative that Afro-Guyanese individuals joining the PPP are selling out, suggesting instead that they are motivated by the opportunities created by the current government. He mentioned that the PPP has successfully registered 1,500 young individuals into its political youth arm, emphasizing that these young people are making informed choices based on their ambitions and logical reasoning. "The individuals coming to us are not selling out anyone, they are smart and think for themselves," Jagdeo stated, defending the agency of Afro-Guyanese in their political decisions. He argued that the coalition opposition has repeatedly demonstrated a lack of vision and competence, prompting many to seek alternatives. Jagdeo's condemnation of Hines' divisive rhetoric aligns with similar sentiments expressed by President Dr. Mohammed Irfan Ali and other government officials, who criticized the media for its silence on such controversial statements. President Ali pointed out that this silence reflects a selective attitude towards addressing racism by journalists and social commentators. Additionally, the Association of the People of African Descent, APAD, has also condemned Hines for his backward-thinking comments, reiterating the call for a united front against divisive rhetoric in the political landscape. PNCR calls for investigation into $100,000 cash grant distribution. The People's National Congress Reform, PNCR, has called for an investigation into the distribution of the $100,000 cash grant to Guyanese citizens, citing a series of controversies surrounding the process. The party expressed concerns over criteria that they claim humiliate citizens and gather data for the People's Progressive Party/Civic, PPP/C, ahead of upcoming elections. The distribution has been plagued by chaotic scenes at various sites, with allegations of corruption, including reports that some individuals received checks intended for others, and instances of individuals receiving the grant twice. At a press conference, PNCR General Secretary Sherwin Benjamin stated, "Permit me to here and now call for a complete investigation into the entire arrangement of the cash grant." He emphasized the need for transparency in the disbursement process. Executive member Ganesh Mahapal echoed these sentiments, questioning the lack of transparency in the system. He criticized the government's method of collecting personal information and photographs, only to have issues arise during distribution. It begs the question as to whether there is really transparency and accountability of the system of this cash grant, he said. In response to the ongoing issues, Vice President Bharat Jagdeo announced that the Ministry of Finance has been instructed to simplify the distribution process. He acknowledged confusion caused by individuals showing up at distribution sites without processed or printed checks. However, opposition MP Coretta MacDonald criticized the Vice President's instruction as being too late. She argued that a proper plan should have been established from the outset to prevent the confusion that has led to long lines and distress among vulnerable populations, including senior citizens and pregnant women. Furthermore, MacDonald condemned the government's requirement for recipients to be photographed holding their checks, calling it humiliating and an unnecessary burden on citizens. She asserted that the photographs are intended for propaganda purposes ahead of the general and regional elections, stating, "There is absolutely no justification to further humiliate and belittle citizens in this way." The PNCR is urging an immediate end to this practice, labeling it disgraceful. According to government statistics, 545,000 checks have been processed, with approximately 200,000 Guyanese having received their grants, while a much larger number has registered for the program. Investment Committee member files legal challenge over Natural Resource Fund transparency. Mr. Terence Campbell, a member of the Natural Resource Fund, NRF, Investment Committee, has filed a judicial review application today challenging the government of Guyana's management and transparency regarding the Natural Resource Fund. The application names the Attorney General of Guyana and the Senior Minister in the Office of the President with responsibility for finance as respondents. The legal action raises concerns about the transparency and accountability surrounding significant withdrawals from the fund, which have totaled approximately $2.61 billion, over $500 billion Guyana dollars, in the past 3 years. The breakdown of withdrawals includes $607.65 million in 2022, $1,002.13 million in 2023, and $850 million from January to September 2024, with an additional $153.456 million withdrawn in the last quarter of the year. Appointed to the Investment Committee on July 8, 2024, Campbell cites official government records indicating that these withdrawals are being utilized to finance regular government operations. The national estimates for 2025 reveal current expenditure deficits of 46,016 million Guyanese dollars for 2024 and 75,929 million Guyanese dollars for 2025, suggesting that funds intended for specific purposes are being misallocated. The application points to serious violations of the Santiago Principles, which have been incorporated into Guyanese law through Section 4 of the Natural Resource Fund Act. These principles establish mandatory standards for governance and accountability in managing sovereign wealth funds. Campbell argues that the government's practices breach key principles requiring accountability, transparency, and responsible investment. The legal challenge seeks declarations that all withdrawals from the fund must be exclusively directed towards national development priorities, such as green economy initiatives and projects related to mitigating the effects of major natural disasters. The application highlights a lack of comprehensive documentation for withdrawals, clear criteria for defining national development priorities, and robust tracking mechanisms for expenditures. Campbell requests the court to mandate the Minister of Finance to provide a detailed breakdown of all expenditures from previous withdrawals within 30 days and to implement proper procedures for documenting future withdrawals. This request is underscored by evidence that none of the projects listed in the 2025 Public Sector Investment Program explicitly identifies financing from the Natural Resource Fund, despite the substantial withdrawals. Mr. Campbell is represented by Mr. Roysdale A. Ford, SC, and Mr. Seenath Jairam, SC. CNOOC and China Medical Team donation enhances GPHC with advanced surgical imaging system. The Georgetown Public Hospital Corporation, GPHC, has received a state-of-the-art surgical imaging system, marking a significant advancement in medical collaboration between Guyana and China. The 4-CMOS fluorescence endoscopic camera system, known as the ICG fluorescence laparoscopic tower, was officially handed over by CNOOC Petroleum Guyana Limited, CPGL, and the 20th China Medical Team from Jiangsu Province. Dr. Navindranath Rambaran, GPHC's Director of Medical and Professional Services, praised the donation as a substantial enhancement to the hospital's capacity for advanced liver and laparoscopic surgeries. He noted the enduring support from Chinese medical teams, recalling that GPHC's first complete set of laparoscopic equipment was also donated through this partnership in the early 2000s. This signals a continued relationship with the China medical team and the People's Republic of China, said Dr. Rambaran. He emphasized the technical assistance and training provided to local doctors as part of this collaboration. At the ceremony, CPGL President Mr. Lien Jihong reaffirmed the company's commitment to improving medical standards in Guyana. CPGL is proud to sponsor this project and help uplift medical standards by ensuring that more patients in Guyana can benefit from advanced surgical procedures that are safer and more effective, he stated. Lien expressed gratitude to the Chinese embassy for its support and coordination, as well as appreciation for GPHC's professionalism. He highlighted CPGL's establishment of a special medical assistance fund to support vulnerable patients and its ongoing sponsorship of training for Guyanese doctors in China. Chinese Consul General in Guyana, Li Hanqing, described the handover as a significant milestone in the medical collaboration between the two countries. This underscores China's dedication to showcasing medical innovations and supporting Guyana's healthcare development, he remarked. This donation follows an agreement established in 2024 between the Chinese medical team and Guyana's Ministry of Health, facilitating the introduction of cutting-edge medical technology to the country. Dr. Shailendra Rajkumar, GPHC's head of general and plastic surgery, expressed gratitude for the long-standing partnership with the Chinese medical team, which has evolved over 3 decades from providing services to equipment donations and educational opportunities in China. The introduction of the new fluorescence imaging system represents a significant step forward in improving patient care in Guyana, enabling local surgeons to perform more complex and precise procedures. Both CPGL and the Chinese medical team emphasized that this initiative is part of broader efforts to strengthen Guyana's healthcare infrastructure and promote sustainable developments in medical services.